Before now, mysteries had never been discussed or uncovered. But now, Contumacious Ant and Atreya are back for a second season. The MO Podcast.
Hello and welcome all into the MO Podcast. You're here with me, Contumacious Ant, and as always, my lovely co-host,
Atreya.
And today we are going to be talking about the C word. Yes, the see you last week. See you last Tuesdays.
See you last week.
I know, I got confused. And that's getting edited, I'll tell you that for nothing.
I don't think you should. I think you should keep it. Cool.
I'm getting old. My memory's going. Don't know swear words anymore. God damn. Cults is what we're talking about, right? After all that. So today I am going to be talking about the Aum Shinrikyo, the Japanese, so I apologise in advance for my pronunciation of everything I talk about, even the English words. And what are you going to be talking about, Atreya?
I am going to be talking about the Easter Island Birdman Cult.
Cool. I've never heard about this, and you said it was something about they killed off all their gods, so I can't wait to hear about this.
Yeah, okay. So it's not a cult in the same sense of the word that you would think like the Manson family were. It was more like they just were obsessed with this god, this Birdman god. So when they very first sort of established the island, Easter Island, which is actually, its real name is Rapa Nui.
That's the one with the heads in it?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not actually heads as well. They've got bodies. They're just underneath the ground. This was discovered recently.
Oh, okay.
It's like full-size statues. It's just the heads are above ground and the bodies are underneath the ground.
So, okay, yeah. They're
like 20 metres tall.
Did they carve the bodies underground, or was there just like a landslide or something?
We don't really know, because when the last settlers left the island, all the heads were like turned over, like toppled over. So I don't really know whether or not the tourism industry stood them all back up again, or whether they kind of built new ones. It's a bit of a mystery.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But so this early civilization, when they first settled there, they were in touch with the kind of Maori traditions, and they created these giant statues, which they called the moai, which literally means statue. Really inventive. Ooh. And they created them as a way of honouring their dead. So it was kind of like when we bury like a king or a queen in like a crypt in a chapel, and we have like a statue of them on top of the crypt kind of thing that looks like them. It was the same kind of thing. It was a way to honour their dead. And each clan on the island, it was divided into different clans. Each clan was actually called a mata, and each clan had their own Maori statues that were representing their ancestors. And they kind of, they all faced inwards, all the heads faced inwards in the direction of their clan, as if they were kind of watching over them and protecting them. And this was their sort of religion. It was their kind of old gods, kind of, this is what they kind of worshipped. They were really good farmers as well. They cultivated the land with volcanic ash. They chopped down trees to make houses. And then when they realised that they chopped down all the trees and they had no other way of making houses and things like that, the soil started to fail as well, so the crops started to fail. And there was a civil war. And just randomly, like out of, hundreds of years of worshipping the old gods and, keeping in tune with the Maori heads, they just abandoned it all, and they created what is now known as the Birdman Cult.
It's not working, lads. We're going to have to try something new. Get rid of it.
It's a bit random. Like, it's just like hundreds of years worth of worshipping one set of gods, and then they're just like, this is rubbish, this, isn't it? Should we find a new god?
I bet their ancestors were livid.
Probably. Especially since the god they chose to worship was like God, like the creator of all things. Who kind of, if he was called Maki Maki, the Birdman. And I kind of feel like if I was Maki Maki, I'd be pissed off that I hadn't been worshipped up to this point. Like, you built heads of your ancestors. I'm right here. Rude.
Been here all the time.
I know, right? So they started worshipping this Maki Maki, who the historians think is like a more, they're like a localized version of the Maori god of like the creator god. I think he's called Tane. There's a story about him marrying his daughter, and she found out that she married her dad and they'd already had kids, so she buggered off to the underworld and refused to see him.
Okay. So like proper religious story there.
Yeah, it got dark very quickly. So what they did was they created this sacred village called Orongo. And because there was civil war between the clans, now that they were all sort of worshipping this same god, they came up with this great idea about how to share the rule of the island without killing each other and wiping each other out. So what they did was they created a competition. I love this competition, it's so great. Okay, so the competition was held annually, and it was a bit like a combination of Gladiators and the Hunger Games.
Okay.
So there was one tiny island a mile away from Easter Island. And once a year, the birds would migrate to this island, and the competition was, one person from each clan, so one competitor, had to travel to the island and bring back the year's first laid sooty tern egg. That was the bird, sooty tern. Right?
Okay.
Sounds easy. Whichever clan won, their clan would rule the island for the rest of the year. Wasn't easy. Firstly, they had to descend the cliffs leading to the beach to get to the sea. The cliffs, by the way, were 250 metres high. They didn't have harnesses or hard hats or anything. They had to climb down. Then once they got to the beach, absolutely knackered from the climb, it was a mile swim to the island. As if that isn't hard enough, the waters were shark infested. So anybody who had like cuts and stuff from climbing down the mountain was absolutely screwed getting in that water. They were basically eaten alive. Then they had to go to the island and find the egg. That's a task in itself. And then they have to bring the egg back. So they had to sit on the island weaving like a hat out of reeds so that they could put the egg in it, so they could carry it on their head so the egg wouldn't be damaged, because they needed both their hands to swim the mile back to shore to climb the 250 metre high cliff to get back to their clan leader to put the egg in their hand so that the clan leader could say, hey, I'm the new ruler of the island.
Wow.
While they were still on the island with the egg as well, I love this bit, right? They would climb to the very top of the island, and they would shout over to the people on shore at Easter Island, right, to send a message to the clan leader, that said, "Go shave your head. You have got the egg." Right?
Okay.
All will be explained. So, when the clan leader gets this message, he runs like, oh yeah, I'm winning. And he has his whole body shaved. He has his eyelashes removed, pulled out, extracted, eyelashes extracted. They paint his head either red or white. And then he kind of runs back to shore to wait for this champion to bring the egg. How embarrassed would you be if you'd done all that and your champion kind of got eaten by sharks?
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
Oh, this is awkward. Now what do I do?
Shit, I look like a right dickhead.
I know, right? So when they did actually bring the egg back, then their clan leader and their clan was champions, and they ruled the whole island for the year, and they got first dibs on all the harvests. They got free food. The clan leader, he had to go and live in a sacred cave, basically on his own for a year.
Okay.
Because, he had to be
lockdown.
he had to be in tune with the religion, but he just basically just ate and slept on his own for months. And the champion, get this, the champion basically got fuck all. Yeah, legit. They did all the hard work. They risked life and limb, and they got a little bit of food to say, thanks, you've made my day, from the clan leader. But other than that, nothing. They got nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, why would they do it, though, Ben?
For the honour, I guess. But you would think it would be a bit like the Hunger Games, wouldn't you? Where they would just keep using the same, like, say if your best champion, Terry, I don't know.
Quite common Polynesian name, that, I've heard.
Terry's awesome. He won, like, last year. You're gonna ask him to just give it a go again, aren't you? And he's gonna go, yeah, because he gets all the glory. He probably got all the girls. He didn't get anything else, but he probably got the girls. And he would just do it again. So it's like the Hunger Games, when Sector 2 and Sector 1 always win. It would be the same kind of thing. So even though it was supposed to be fair, where each tribe only got a year to rule and then they had to do the competition all over again, if you're breeding
Terry's
good gladiators, Terry's, exactly, I mean, you're gonna be in power for quite a long time. And especially since when they were in power, they tried to put a stop to the other tribes actually participating in the competition.
Oh,
So,
okay.
cheating.
Proper politicking.
Yeah. So this is like how they just survived throughout the next, couple hundred years until, of course, the Brits and the Europeans and the Dutch, and when everybody kind of came across and went, oh, we're going to stick a flag in this and then we can make it ours. And they brought disease, they brought war, they were killing all the natives. And then, then they came and took 90% of the population away as slaves. And actually, in the 1800s, it was actually repealed, and the people who were still alive, who had lived on Easter Island, were allowed to go back home as free men. But unfortunately, one of them had smallpox when he went back and wiped them all out. So when they very first started their civilization, there was over 10,000 people. And, just before everything kind of shut down and went into the tourism industry, there was less than 100 people left. So
wow.
we fucked them over, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
We really did. So here's where I go all fringy.
Oh, okay, here we go. Tin hats on, ladies and gentlemen.
Tin hat is firmly on. So some people, I'm not saying me, I'm saying some people.
Yeah, okay.
Say that this is one of the places on the Earth where electromagnetic currents are really, really high. Which is kind of bizarre because it's a tiny island off the coast of Chile, or Chile, I think you're supposed to pronounce it, but I don't. I always feel like I'm channeling Eric Cartman when I say Chile. Yeah, we're antithesis. So we'll just go Chile. They say that the electromagnetic currents are so high that it doesn't make sense. The same as they're supposed to be really high in Egypt and Mexico, places like that. And allegedly this is because, tinfoil hat, they were visited by extraterrestrials who kind of charged the Earth around them. So they're basically saying that the Rapa Nui people had contact with aliens, and that Rapa Nui itself, Easter Island, was actually a portal for otherworldly beings to come in and go out of. And actually, some tinfoil hat people, but definitely not me, say that the aliens came out of this portal, and yeah, they actually took the Rapa Nui people, and that's why the civilization was kind of lost, because they got abducted by aliens.
Yeah.
And that there's drawings in the caves of the island that show that they were visited by aliens, because they had these drawings that looked kind of like aliens. I kind of thought they looked like monkeys, but I mean, I guess it could be a bird. But they're all quite primitive drawings. They kind of all look, they're a bit ambiguous, aren't they? They're neither here nor there. But lots of people do think that actually aliens even made the Moe statues, which of course is absolutely ridiculous, because if aliens were going to make giant statues, they wouldn't use, I mean, they were built out of volcanic ash, basically.
Okay, so these aliens have got a portal. They've got interstellar travel, and they've magnetized or made all the electric around New Guinea, Easter Island, and they've made all the electric around there. And then they decided to make them heads. Have you seen the state of the heads? So they can do all this stuff, but they can't sculpt. Is that what we're thinking here?
I think that's basically what they're insinuating, yeah, that the aliens made these heads. I'm not sure why.
Unless it was like the alien children made these heads, you know, because I can see, like, it looks like a kid's done them. I mean, a lot of hard work's gone into them, obviously, and I'm not disrespecting them, but if they've got interstellar travel and portals and they can electritize Easter Island to make it the centre of the world, surely they can do a better job with the sculptures.
Well, they could have made them out of titanium or anything, couldn't they? Or vibranium, or something really light, because they were so heavy that the historians have spent like decades trying to figure out how the tribe would move these statues, which is why people think that aliens built them, because they're saying the people at that time could not possibly have moved these statues, which was, you know, several tons, from one part of the island. They were all actually carved in a quarry from one end of the island to the other when they were like 20 meters tall. But it was proved recently that they walked them. So like they basically attached like ropes on either side, and you know like when you shift in a big wardrobe and you keep tilting it from one side to another. Yeah. They basically did that from one end of the island to the other. So it's already kind of been proved it's entirely possible that aliens didn't have to have built them just because it's not possible to move them. It's entirely possible to move them.
Just because modern day people can't move them doesn't mean people who had to actually till the land and do a bit of work back in the day couldn't move them.
Exactly. Look at the pyramids. Everyone's like, oh, there's no way that the Egyptians built those. Well, clearly some technology and some form of engineering has been lost to us. We're not the be all and end all. We don't know everything, do we?
Exactly.
So they might have had methods of engineering and technology that we don't know about because it's been lost to history, because, you know, the pilgrims came over and went, you're all believing in God now, all right? Give everyone smallpox. We had to just do everything. They had to just do everything that they told them. Yeah, and give everyone smallpox and tuberculosis, and yeah, it was unpleasant. But yeah, I don't quite understand the alien theory. I know some people are really, really like fast believers of that, but I mean, if it would make more sense that they were toppling them over, not because they were like, those alien bastards. They never call. I feel like it was more along the lines of like, I'm from one tribe and I'm going over to another tribe and I'm going, see this statue of your Auntie Rita? Boop. Auntie Rita's fallen over. Like, it's a disrespect thing, isn't it? Yeah. Or like a prank like they have in, not sororities, but, you know, like that kind of thing where they TP a house or something like that. It's just something like that. A load of young warriors have a little bit of the shaman's pipe and then go out and go, ha ha, here we go, here's Auntie Rita, look her. Well, I think it laughing. Was like, it was during the time of the Civil War, like when they were, the Civil War of that island, not the Civil War, when they were in Civil War. So they were kind of I don't think they were warriors per se. So I don't think they were going around cutting each other's heads off. I think like the meanest that they could be was just pushing over their opponent's ancestors' heads. Like, they kind of sound like a really nice people, if I'm honest. If that's as mean as you can get, it's pushing over a statue.
And even then, they had to be like pissed or something, or on the shaman pipe, because they're just too nice.
It's just like egging someone's house, isn't it? You could actually go and kill somebody, but you just egg their house instead. It's kind of the same thing. I kind of think they were quite nice.
Kind of the same, yeah, exactly the same thing. I mean, I all the time. I have them dilemmas. I could kill someone, or I could egg someone's house. Choices.
But regardless, it's kind of weird that the Maui heads are still there because they were kind of just abandoned. You know, they didn't care about them anymore. They were like, well, we've got this wicked Birdman now in this wicked competition that's like the Hunger Games. We invented the Hunger Games. They probably did. And I guess probably too difficult to shift them. Like, we just leave them there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What are they going to do with them?
And they actually still do host a festival thing where they do like proper like Rapa Nui dances and do proper celebrations for the Birdman stuff on the island now.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I definitely would not have survived the competition.
I don't think in general a lot of us today would have survived the past.
No.
I mean, the 80s were hard enough, I'll be honest. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, but you didn't have to climb down 250-metre cliffs
Exactly.
or swim in shark-infested waters after doing that.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be doing that. I'd be like, no I'm no Terry.
I know, right? I walked from like the car to my room the other day. It's like, I don't know, 15 paces. I was absolutely screwed when I got to the top of the stairs. There's no way I'd have even made it to the cliffs, let alone down the cliffs.
Exactly. I don't think I get over 4,000 steps a day, and I go out and like after work and stuff, and still don't get over that. So,
well, mate, like I get 150 a day.
One is better than none, I suppose.
Google Maps tells me I've walked like 0.3 miles in a month. And I've been in a car for like 47 hours.
Is Google Maps worried because you've not moved position for a full year? Are they like, shit, this is a dead body. Fuck.
Yeah, they like message me and they're like, 100 steps a day? You all right? No, I'm not. I've only done 100 steps a day. I haven't lifted my arse off my computer desk. There's no way I'm swimming in shark-infested waters, Google. So yeah, that's the Birdman Cult.
Cool. What was the name of the village where they gathered at?
Orongo.
Is that anywhere near Uvavu? Sorry.
I just know it's like near Chile.
Chile. You sound like a proper man. Chile. Let's go on holiday to Chile.
It's lovely.
Chile. It's lovely. They've got sun and beach and everything. Oh, it'd be great. Chile. Well, yeah, that is proper Hunger Games brought to life. Though.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, very, very scary.
Go shave your head. I've got the egg.
Yeah, indeed. Just imagine. They must have had some voices on there, some lungs on them, I tell you, shouting over a mile and listening, hearing it. Oh,
yeah, they have really.
Just
good
imagine
hearing.
if you didn't hear it and he turned up at the beach, climbed all the way up the cliff, and he's like, "Why have you got all your hair?"
Oh, I've still got my hair on. Hang on. Will somebody give me a hand pulling my eyelashes out, please? Can't do this on my own. Maybe he just stood at the top of the island, like jumping up and down, like waving madly, and they only think that that's what he shouted, but nobody can actually be sure. What Terry was actually shouting from the island was, "Dickhead, I've got your egg. I want some girls."
Oh, snakes! Fucking hell! Loads of snakes over here.
Can someone get me a canoe so I don't have to swim back through these sharks? So tell me about your Japanese cult.
So, this intrigued me. So anyway, I apologise for my pronunciation, but Aum Shinrikyo was a Japanese cult, and it was formed in 1984 by Shoko Asahara. He was a pharmacist. He was blind as well. I don't know if that's any relevance to it, but when you see interviews of him, he doesn't actually look blind.
A pharmacist that's blind? I wouldn't want him knocking up my prescription.
Well, indeed, he was actually fined for giving out prescriptions without...
Putting the wrong amounts in stuff.
He was giving out medication without prescriptions, basically, and
Wow.
he was never kind of on the right side of the law. But this cult, it kind of started out as a yoga and a meditation class, and took massive leaps and bounds from there, I'll tell you. It was basically, their doctrine was, it was original Buddhism, but it kind of employed the kind of Christian millenarian rhetoric, which is basically, there's going to be an apocalypse. In all of Christian literature, there's kind of an apocalypse, whether it be a flood, whether it be the Sodom and Gomorrah, whether it be Armageddon kind of thing. There's always that kind of doom. If you don't convert, you're going to be doomed, which is kind of what they tried to do, but with a little bit of Buddhist peace and love kind of thing. So it was basically, if there's going to be a doomsday, there's going to be something going on. And Asahara actually believed it was going to be in 1997. And if you weren't part of Aum Shinrikyo, then you were going to get left behind. They were the only ones that were going to survive and come out the other side, this Armageddon, this apocalypse, and lead the way into the bright new future.
Egg on his face.
Yeah, I didn't really do that. So what happened was, this is a thing that cannot be underestimated in what actually follows. In August of 1989, they were granted official religious corporation status, which gave them tax breaks. It allowed them to earn money through donations, and I
hate that.
Yeah, it just pushed them so far. Basically, they increased their net worth from less than 430 million yen to over 100 billion yen in 6 years. So
Wow.
it's like 5.6 million to 1.6 billion.
Do we know how much that is in pounds?
It is around about that. Near enough the same. A lot of money.
It's near enough the same, okay.
Yeah. Well,
Cool.
What is it? Is it 110 to the dollar now? I don't know. But English
was a lot.
billions and American billions are different. So
But it was a lot.
yeah, basically, and it was in such a short space of time. And the cult expanded into Russia, and they paid over $7 million in backhanders to be able to expand there, to open churches, to put themselves into the community over there. And without paying that money, they would never have got a foothold there. So without having this official religious status, they would have none of this would have happened. But hindsight is a brilliant thing.
Indeed.
But with all great cult leaders, Asahara claimed he was Christ reincarnated. And he actually did that in his book, which was quite brilliantly called Declaring Myself the Christ.
I really thought you were going to say the Bible. 2.
No, well, yeah, 2.0. While he was meditating in 1985, he claimed Shiva, the Hindu god, the destroyer, came to him and appointed him the god of light who leads the armies of gods.
Is Shiva allowed to do that?
Well, you see, now, Shiva's kind of the destroyer, so he needs an army, but I don't know why he's getting another god to lead his army if he's the destroyer and he likes destroying things.
Yeah, but I don't think surely, like, by rights, he can just promote people. Surely has to go through, like, God's HR.
I mean, well, do you think they kind of like have a senate and they all vote? Like
Yeah.
Jehovah's there and Jeebus and...
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Shiva can just go, hey, you're promoted. you're God of Light now. Like, what about the actual God of Light who's already God of Light?
Maybe they pensioned him off.
Maybe he resigned.
In disgrace at the handling of just promoting anyone.
Possibly, or the fact that he just couldn't get any sleep because it was too bright all the time.
That could be a great point, that, actually. He's like, fucking hell, turn that light down. Oh, it's me. Oh. What Shinrikyo did was they kind of justified the violence that followed by its own unique interpretation. So basically, if someone has bad karma, by killing them, you're saving them from bad karma. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So they kind of like
isn't it?
that's what they used. And in 3 months after they were granted this official religious status, they would try this out and they murdered a family of 3.
Wow. Okay. What did the family of 3 do that was bad karma?
So Tsutsumi Sakamoto, he was an anti-cult lawyer and he was working on a class action suit which would basically bankrupt Shinrikyo. And he'd done it to another cult and he'd managed to stop them. He got Asahara to take a blood test, and because Asahara claimed to be Christ and he had special powers, it would show up in the blood test, but it didn't.
Like his blood suddenly starts glowing neon. Like, yep, no, he's definitely who he says he is.
Yeah.
Put him through. Pass him.
Or whether that's one of the reasons that they killed him, or whether that that would be a huge embarrassment for Asahara. Obviously, if everyone went, you're not special, or you've been telling me you're really special, or whether it was just that this would actually bankrupt them and they wouldn't be able to get any money. But they sent a hit squad to his house. It was a 5-man hit squad. And a 4-man hit squad, excuse me, and they waited for him at a subway station. They had needles with, I can't remember what it was, but they had hypodermic needles and they had, I think it was sodium potassium, and they were going to inject him as soon as he got off the subway. But it was a holiday, which I don't know how they didn't know that. So
why did it take 5 of them just for him?
Well, this is the thing. I don't know.
They can't have been very good.
One was actually a martial arts master, so
surely you could have taken him out by himself.
Yeah, you just send him on his own, make him earn his pay.
Oh, wow, but they can't have been very good.
Yeah, no, they do come across as a bit of a Three Stooges cult. This lot, but basically, what happened was the reason that they went after Sakamoto is because he did a interview for the Tokyo Broadcasting System television, and because it was a court case, he was supposed to be protected as a confidential source. But the channel went straight to members of Aum Shinrikyo and showed them the interview, and basically signed his own death warrant. Yeah. The cult pressured the network not to show the interview, and they didn't. And then 4 days later, the 3 family members were missing. There was him, his wife, and his 3-year-old son. And only in 2000 were the 4 members of the hit team convicted of the actual crime.
How could a 3-year-old have had any bad karma though?
But this is the thing, because it was a holiday and he didn't turn up at the metro station where they were waiting for him to get off this subway. They actually broke into his house and then
just collateral.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, not realizing it was a holiday. He's like, okay.
Well, they don't sound like the smartest of guys, to be fair.
Yeah, and then in 1990. The group, Asahara, kind of got delusions of grandeur now. He kind of actually wanted to take over the world. And he started this by trying to take over the Japanese parliament. He ran 25 candidates in the parliamentary elections in the Japanese Diet. And they were absolutely smashed. They only got 1,000 votes between all 25 of them. But
I think even Kanye got more than that.
well, exactly. I mean, even write-ins get more than that. But being a great cult leader, Asahara blamed it on a conspiracy of Freemasons and Jews, because obviously they don't want him in the parliament. So rather than go down the peaceful way and take power through the ballot box, he thought, you know what? Let's start producing noxious chemicals, which they started trying to produce Botox, which is actually neurotoxic. It kills the skin, and if you're injected too much with it, you're going to die. But this was a bit unsuccessful, and this is where it gets a bit Three Stooges now, because they didn't actually have a growth medium for the cultivation, and one of the cult members fell into the fermentation tanks.
Oh, Lord.
And apart from nearly drowning, that was the only side effect. So they weren't great, but they weren't...
This is the guy that's the pharmacist.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, not to be undone, they didn't want to waste it all, so they still went round and sprayed all this harmless water, I suppose. They went round, sprayed it at several locations around Japan, including the Imperial Palace, the Diet, which is the main Houses of Parliament there, and a rivaled religious group. Now, I don't know how you get to be rivals in the religious groups, but they had one, and they tried to assassinate the leader on 2 occasions, which I don't know how that works out. But anyway.
That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. A fight off between...
You can't both be Jesus, okay? So one of you make your mind up.
Yeah, one of you turn this water into wine, and then we can get on it.
Let's settle this debate and get on with our lives.
So basically, they weren't unperturbed by this little setback, and they actually... in 1992, they established a small lab in Kamiyasuki and went on to try and start producing sarin, as it's the most cost-effective poison to produce. So he's still got the head of the business.
Good business plan, yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. Within a month, the lead scientist who was working on this, Masami Tsushiya, had produced 10 to 12 grams of sarin. So then his boss went, right, you've done a great job, now produce 70 tons of it.
I was going to say 12 grams.
Yeah.
I'll be fuming if I got there. Like, how much have you made? Well, I've made 12 grams. Is that going to be enough? It's not going to be fucking enough, is it? You idiot.
It's not even going to do anything. I'll eat it now. Watch, I'll show you. I'll eat it.
What have you been doing this whole time?
Scratching your hat, I tell you. So he was told to produce 70 tons, and to do this, they actually built a chemical plant alongside the laboratory. It employed 100 members, and it was valued at $30 million.
Okay.
Yeah. So, again, it's a little bit Three Stooges, because there was a high degree of book learning, but virtually nothing in the way of technical skill.
High degree of book learning. Oh, Lord.
It was supposed to, even when the after the 95 attacks, when the Japanese police went in, they just went, oh my God, how have you not had more accidents here? And to be honest with you, there may have been a lot of accidents, and just cult members were done away with because
I think so. Like, how do you even go about that? Like, let's start up a chemical factory and let's make some chemicals and some shit like that. Like, do you know how to do it? Nah, but we'll just go to the library, innit? Be in a book somewhere. YouTube? We'll find it.
The thing is, they did have it was kind of called the, I don't want to use the word religion, but it was kind of the cult for the elites, because they went to the elite Japanese universities and tried to indoctrinate a lot of students from the kind of elitist groups. So they were seen as like a fancy cult, if that's possible. But they sound like a bunch of idiots.
They do. They really do.
Between late 1993 and May 1995, they were involved in 10 chemical attacks using from all the sarin and the stuff they were producing, which included 2 failed assassination attempts against Daisaku Akida, who was the leader of this rival religious gang. The assassination of up to 20 dissident cult members through the use of VX gas, which I'm sure we've all seen The Rock, the great film with Nicolas Cage, and that was what they used in The Rock.
Let's pretend you've seen that.
Okay, I was going to say, you sound very quiet.
I haven't seen it. Sorry.
Okay, it's great. It's a great film,
I'll watch
and
it.
It's not Dwayne Johnson.
That's what
got
I
Sean
thought.
Connery in it.
Oh,
so
sold.
Yeah, see. And then June 1994 was the Matsumoto sarin attack, which was like a dry run for what will come later in the Tokyo subway attacks. And sarin gas was pumped out of a converted refrigerated truck outside a Tokyo apartment block. Now, in this apartment block, there was 3 judges that lived in there, and they were ruling on one of the cult's real estate cases. So rather than try and pay them off, they decided to try and kill them. 274 people were treated. 8 people died, including one that was in a coma for 14 years and passed away in 2008.
Holy crap.
You think that's bad? Her husband was the main suspect in this case.
I mean, isn't that usually the thing, though? It's usually the husband, isn't it?
But the only reason it was because he had a lot of pesticides in his house.
I mean, maybe he had rats. Roaches? Ants?
But the Japanese police got an anonymous tip that the cult was involved, and they said, this was in one of the pages, if sarin is released in an enclosed space, say a crowded subway, it's easy to imagine a massive catastrophe.
Wow. Okay, so just give them the plan, why don't you?
Yeah, that's quite prophetic, but they still went, no, it's Yoshioku Kono. That's who it is, because he's got like 4 cans of rat poison, whereas normal people just have 1. Barely that.
And he was standing up in court going, "You've never seen slugs like it, honestly. Ants, slugs, I can't get rid of them. That's why."
This is the thing, and the media put him through the ringer. He was sent hate mail and death threats, and when it was found that it was the cult's doing, every member of the national media, even the ones that didn't report it was him, actually officially apologised to him, which is the least
bloody
they could
hope
fucking
so,
done.
yeah.
So now the Tokyo subway attacks were, I think I said at the end of the last episode, this was kind of like the first thing I kind of understood in the news cycle. It was news, this. I always had it on in the background, but this was kind of new. So it was March 1995. 5 members of this cult boarded rush hour Tokyo subway system. Now, they all got on different subways, different lines, and it was basically 9 o'clock in the morning, so everyone's going into work. At specific stations, the members dropped the packets because they had 2 packets of sarin, and they had them in newspapers. They also had umbrellas with them, which the tips had been sharpened to a point. So basically, at these stations, they just dropped the newspapers on the ground, started stabbing the newspaper, in essence, and then just got off the train.
I would definitely be standing away from somebody that was holding an umbrella with a point on the end of it.
I know, have they not seen James Bond?
I know, right?
Then they all got off at their stops, and a getaway driver was waiting for them outside, and they all kind of disappeared into the night. Now, sarin, it was created by our good friend, not our good friend, oh, fuck that, I'm editing that. Sarin was invented by the Nazis.
I mean...
So, it's horrible. basically. It's one of the most volatile of the nerve agents. It can quickly and easily evaporate from a liquid into a vapor and then just spread out into the environment. Even if you're not exposed, if you don't come into contact with the liquid, if you're still exposed to it's going to be horrible. It evaporates really quickly, so it is a short-term threat, but it's a very, very dangerous one. And
what does it do?
So basically, it just burns all your lungs out.
Oof.
It burns your eyes. One of the main things that the people who went to hospital, one of the main problems they had was with speaking, and their eyes were burning. So it's just, as soon as you inhale it, it starts to burn you all the way down into your lungs. There were 13 deaths, and 5,500 people were seen between 278 hospitals, with over 1,000 being kept for treatment. Most of them were let go the same day or at latest the next day, but I think they were at least triple figures of major incidents with people having to be kept in for longer periods. This the worst attack on Japan since the war.
It's amazing, such a tiny little amount as well.
Yeah,
such a quick thing to do can affect so many people.
That's the thing. 5,500 people were affected. I mean, most were kind of like walking wounded, and they didn't know they were on the trains or they'd been in the area, and they didn't know whether they were ill or not. So it was just kind of they were checking up for their own personal kind of perspective. But
is it something that you've got to get treated immediately as well? Like, if you've only been exposed to, like, say if you were on the outskirts or something and you felt a bit iffy, is it something that gets worse if you don't get it treated, or do you just get off lucky?
Yeah, I mean, you would need it treated because it's the burning of the eyes and the burning of the throat. I'm not saying you wouldn't be able to see, but it'd be really like blurry, and
so it would get worse if you didn't. Get it treated.
Exactly. Yeah, if you don't get it like an eye wash, I don't think you can treat this at home, kind of thing. It's not like I've got a cut, I'll just put a plaster on it, kind of thing. You need medical assistance with these kind of things. I mean, within 48 hours of the attacks, the police, with members of the 1st Airborne Brigade, who were on standby. They didn't perform the raid, but that was just in case the cultists were armed. They raided the chemical plant and other cult facilities around Japan. 189 members of the cult were arrested and put on trial. Now, there was probably about 20,000 people involved with the cult at the time of these attacks, and a lot of them didn't know what was going on. It was just kind of a meditation thing, but 189 members of the cult were put on trial and convicted for just this attack. Asahara, he was arrested. He was in, like all good cult leaders, he was in a secret room at the cult's headquarters 2 months after the attack. And he and 12 others were sentenced to death, and they were executed in 2018.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I didn't know Japan still had the death penalty, but
neither did I.
did. Yeah. So
well deserved, though.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, they only hand out the death penalty for multiple murders. It's something that they don't try and push out there because of obviously negative publicity, but everyone was pretty much on board with this execution.
I don't think you'd get any negative publicity for that at all.
Yeah. So shortly after the attacks, the cult lost their religious status, and they've been delegated a terrorist organisation by several countries, including Russia, the European Union, I know that's not a country, but Canada and America. In 2000, they kind of tried to rebrand themselves, and they're now called, I don't know how you say that, Alf. It's the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Anyway,
So they're still going.
yes. In 2007, the group actually split with the head of the cult's Moscow operations, Fumihiro Joju. He was formed the new group. But the interesting thing about him is he was the spokesman, and in 1995 he was recalled back from Russia, and he was basically the person on TV saying, nothing to do with us. This is nothing to do with us. And he was actually imprisoned for 3 years for perjury and basically just bullshitting to everyone. But he's now leading a new group called the Hikari no Wa, which is the Circle of Light in Japanese. They are moving away, or they're trying to be looked at as moving away from their criminal shenanigans, and they're trying to unite science and religion. But they are all still under observation by Japan's Public Security Commission.
I should hope so.
So anything that whoever they call themselves now, anything that they do is monitored and looked at. And the main thing is that they don't have that religious, and I don't think they ever will, anything involving anyone who had anything to do with I don't think they'll ever be given religious status again.
I don't think religious status should be a thing that's just given out either. Like, you can't just invent a religion. That's not how it works.
I know, that's it as well. You just need a couple of followers and then just get tax-exempt status on everything, and then be allowed to do such terrible...
But that's nuts. Like, I could just go, I'm starting up a religion that worships cats now. And yeah, I bet I'd have quite a few people join that, because I know there's a few crazy cat-obsessed people, but I can't just go, I'm creating a religion. Can I please have this authorised to say this is an official cat lover religion, and expect people to just go, yeah, sure, here you go, we'll sign it off. Who's your cat god? Bugs. Cool, yeah, crack on. Do you need any planning permission for any chemical plants? Sure, we'll sign them off, yeah. It's just not how it works. You don't just invent a religion. I mean, well, clearly religion was invented because I'm an atheist. But I just don't think you can just decide one day, hey, I'm going to start a new religion. That's just not how it works.
It's not, but it is. That's how all religions are kind of started, isn't it, really? I mean, one day someone goes...
I know, but this is like thousands of years worth of...
Yeah, I don't think it should be...
Isn't it more of a fad rather than a religion?
Yeah, I don't think it should be green stamped by the government. I don't think that should have anything to do with it.
Maybe they can just go, it's a group, it's not a religion. It's like an after-school club.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in fairness, you do kind of run a religion where you worship cats, or a cat, I suppose.
Yeah, but there's only one follower, that's me.
Yeah, indeed.
And I haven't applied for any planning permission for any chemical plants at all.
Yet. The
It's mass producing catnip.
Yeah.
It is a market.
The weird thing, I mean, if this thing could get any weirder, there is actually a computer game about the cult and the events that I have described.
Oh God, please don't say it's Cult Simulator or something like that.
No, it's called The Story of Kamikushiki Village. Basically, you take control as Asahara, and it's like SimCity. You have to manage the cult operations. You collect resources, try and induct new members, and the end goal is the 1995 Tokyo subway attacks.
How the fuck did that get through Steam QA?
So basically, it's a niche game, let's say.
You reckon?
It was released in 1995. So basically, it was released like 2 months after the attack. So that's how basic the game is, kind of thing. It's it's one of them. Is it like satirical, or is it? It wasn't made by the Cult. It was made by a developer called Happysoft Limited, who have made the worst game in the world. It's the title that it's got. It's called Hong Kong 97, and it takes place in China during 1997. This game, and during the handover from Hong Kong back to China from the UK. And the Hong Kong government hires a super powerful relative of Bruce Lee to kill the entire population of China.
Okay.
Seriously.
That's an interesting premise.
Just Google the both of them. Hong Kong 97, it's just shocking. And
How badass is that guy, please? To be able to kill the entire population of China. Do you have any idea how many people that is? Single-handedly?
Yeah, but he is a relative of Bruce Lee. And something I forgot to mention, a heroin addict.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. But
he wouldn't get past the fucking border, mate.
Yeah.
Mind into the country.
It's just bizarre. But this game is... It was kind of sold in underground magazines. I mean, I think he only produced 300 copies of it, and
I thought you were going to say 3.
Many of them I think he kept anyway. But it's over 3.5. It's over 12 3.5-inch floppy disks, and you've got to put it onto your hard drive to play it. It's and it cost in 1995. It cost £98.
What?
Yeah, so it was only sold through mail order, and it cost 14,500 yen in 1995. And in today's money, that came out at like £98. So
sorry, which nutters are buying that?
So it's supposed. I'm not going to say it's.
Don't say
big.
it's supposed to be good.
No, it's not. I've seen it. It's absolutely terrible. I mean, there's one point where you're actually bottling bathwater from Asahara himself.
Aww.
So yeah, they got in on that.
That's where them Twitch streamer girls got it from.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's just bizarre. There's two endings, which is the quote marks good one, which is where you carry out the attack and you win the game, or the bad one where Armageddon ends the world.
Okay.
But the developers have said that it's a satirical look at the cult, and it's mocking the cult because it shows humiliating media coverage in the cutscenes, and it's saying the sarin gas attacks are negative, even though you've got to win the game when you do the sarin attacks. So I don't know where they got that from, but yeah,
sounds like they're trying to cover their own backs very terribly.
Yeah, it's a terrible game. So yeah, I mean, like I say, today even the members of the offshoots or of whatever it used to be are now under surveillance, and touch wood, we won't have anything like this happen again.
We'll keep an eye out on Steam though for some dodgy looking games.
Yeah.
He was the right one, wasn't he?
It's bizarre. Yeah, he was a right one. I didn't know blind people could be so. Maybe it's my ableism, but I didn't know blind people could be so mean. I tell you, and religious blind people as well. Woof.
Religious blind pharmacists, no less. My pharmacist's
Pharmacist.
lovely.
He couldn't even make sarin.
Do you think he was just knocking up prescriptions, because he couldn't see, just kind of shaking the bottle, going, "Sounds about right. Here you go." I mean, can you imagine preparation H mixed with Calpol? It would taste lovely, and your hemorrhoids would be cured.
Indeed. Maybe that's what we need in the world: more blind pharmacists.
That's maybe that's what we need. Next time I pop into my chemist, I'll ask my pharmacist what would happen if he mixed Calpol and preparation H. He'll probably bang him. Shop somewhere else.
Oh, God. On that bombshell.
Indeed.
That has been, that's been the story of the Birdman Cult and Aum Shinrikyo.
They were.
They were right ones, to be honest with you. And then so next week, what will we be talking about?
We're talking about conspiracies, aren't we?
I thought we were doing serial killers. See, that was a genuine question. I mean, have you got?
Okay, well then we'll do serial killers. No, I'm bored with serial killers. I'm definitely on board with serial killers.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Can I hear sirens out your window right now?
Because you said on board with serial killers. They come in for me. MI5.
I really thought I just heard sirens.
To be honest.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Serial killers, yes.
Serial killers.
Do you have one in mind, or have I just put you on the spot?
No. I always have one in mind. I'm going to do Jeff Dahmer.
Always got one in mind. There you go. Jeffrey Dahmer. The man himself. Well, I'm going to be doing Jack Unterweger. Now, we've not really talked about him, but he was mentioned on the Elisa Lam
Yes.
one because he did stay at the Cecil Hotel. But outside of staying there and Liberals being involved, I don't know that much about him, so I'm going to look forward to diving into that.
Sounds like quite an interesting guy, actually.
Yeah, I believe it. I think he was very, very clever as well.
Definitely.
He must have been, to be honest with you, to get away with.
I would say so.
And perhaps quite charming, a bit like Jeffrey Dahmer, maybe. I don't think he was charming. I just think he used a lot of Rohypnol, didn't he?
Yeah.
So you got people there. Yeah. If you like holes drilled in your head. So that will be next week. But for now, this has been the MO podcast with me, Consummatious Ant.
And me, Atreya.
And thank you so much for listening, and we shall see you or speak to you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Podcast. The MO Podcast. The MO Podcast. The MO Podcast.